what novel tactical capabilities does additive bring to the table? So,
but this is my favorite part of the job right here, is the way the Marines absolutely run with it. So by going through and who in the Marine Corps 3D prints? We 3D print at the depots and stuff like that. We're training individual Marines on how to do this. You're looking at the Marines. We're pulling them off of their day job for a week. We're teaching them, giving them a week-long crash course in CAD, how to 3D print, how to operate the machine, then we're turning them back loose. And because the barrier to entry to going from I have a problem and I'm describing it now to I'm holding a part in my hand is so low with additive manufacturing with respect to traditional means. Like, it takes months to become a machinist and years to master it. But whereas with 3D printing, now I can go through and take somebody who traditionally where everybody in the Marine Corps has problems, but typically the involvement of the Marine would be to describe the problem to somebody else, to an engineer through NAVMAC 10772 or PQDR, or describe it to a machinist. But now they can actively be part of that solution. You can still be a generator mechanic, a grunt, a motor T operator, and now you can start affecting solutions. So the tactical capability that we're putting into the hands of the Marines is now they can actively prototype the solution. You know, a prototype sells an idea. It doesn't necessarily need to be ready for fleet-wide adoption. It doesn't necessarily be ready for manufacturing, but you can go through and the conversation starts with, I'm holding something and I tell you, this is what the solution looks like and these are the problems that I have. And we're giving that capability, and more importantly, we're giving that authority to the Marines at the lowest levels to go through and do it, because no good Marine has ever let paperwork stop them from solving a problem. They go out and do it anyways. But now we have the ability to have their solution transferred laterally throughout the fleet. We can put it in front of the program office. I can replicate it in my office and walk it over to a program office to get engineers' eyes on it, without them having to necessarily, like, the program office fly out to them or ship the part back. We can tweak the design and modify it. And so now your average Marine is involved in the solution via just describing the problem, and they absolutely run wild with it. The things that they come out of, that the fleet comes up with versus the program office, it's always very enlightened. It's always cheap, tactical, done quickly, and when the program offices see it, 9 times out of 10, we're like, son of a bitch, that's ingenious. So I'll get off my soapbox and I'll pass it over to Liz.
I think tactical capabilities, I think it depends on how you define them, right? Tactical meaning, can we do this with maintenance? Tactical meaning that we can do this with folks who are far forward or expeditionary, or are we carrying printers onto the battlefield so that they can print things right there? I think all of those are options as we've kind of looked at how the technology can be used. What I'd hope to see, and I think we're already starting to see that as a result of the work we've done with medical devices for COVID-19, is there's an opportunity here that we could print custom gear for people, whether that's custom armor or custom, tools or custom, face masks, you name it. But as we expand this technology and as it gets more prevalent and we learn to control it and we've got the data, we can literally customize everything that a Marine or a sailor needs for their job to them and make them that much more effective. And we can deliver that in place. And so that's kind of completely changes how we might even figure out how we're going to work as a military. And so there's lots of excitement from my perspective on how do we extend this so that it's truly addressing not just the global need that we have, but that soldier, that Marine's need that he needs, not everybody else.
So I really appreciate the comments from both Matt and Liz. I think that they're very much spot on. That this technology has really allowed us, in terms of having a very hierarchical organization, to sort of flatten it. And I think, it's the sergeants, that have really taken the opportunity, and rather than just taking a component that was designed decades ago and simply seeking direct replication, as our colleagues mentioned, they're really taking advantage of that unique design space and designing for additive manufacturing. And just like Liz was mentioning, that's really opened up unique opportunities for customization. And I know very recently, in terms of our response, to COVID-19, we've been working across the Navy, Marine Corps, and with the University of California, San Diego to develop a ventilator splitter. And as you all know, the hospitals are very small, tight, confined spaces. And so AM really offers, that unique design space where we can fit in all of the intricacies that we need in designs. Whereas, yes, in theory, those components exist and you can piece them together, but the reality is that that doesn't fit into the given design space. So, really, really wanted to emphasize, how much the fleet is taking advantage of really leaning forward and designing for AM.
Yeah, just to riff off of Dr. Holdsworth's comment about the flattening, once we got our printers in the hands of the users, or that Naval Construction Group 1 and 2 and various battalions that are using them, we found that they've, that can-do spirit that the CBs like to talk about, that is, similar to the Marines, lean forward and worry about the paperwork later, that Captain Audette mentioned. We found that we are, in a sense, having to be willing to play catch up with their operational desires. And I think, in this fog of COVID, or the fog of war kind of concept, I think it behooves us to loosen up a bit as, folks at the SysComs, and see what we can do to get that spirit in there. So, on that note, one of the things that we've been challenges that the NAMEXCOM working group responded to COVID for SecNav has been dealing with is, how do we get reimbursed for providing, PPE and face shields and masks to users where these requests are coming in, and it's turning out to be a difficult thing to get resolved. So, but at the same time, we're having our users print these things and try out mass production of making masks and things, and they're saying, "Hey, I know somebody on this ship. They told me that they have a need," and I look in the spreadsheet, and there's not even a need logged in there yet. So it's like, well, we've got them now. That ship is here now. It's leaving tomorrow. What can we do? And so we're thinking, well, there's no way bureaucratically we're going to get it through. So it challenges us as SysCom leads to find ways to do that. And so one of the things that we did, since we have that partnership concept, is, call it a training evolution, and we're looking for feedback. So yesterday we got 500 masks out to the USS Portland here in Port Hueneme Port. It's actually leaving later today. It turns out that, a local CB Master Chief knew the senior chief medical technician of the vessel, and they said, they heard through the grapevine that they had that need. So I think finding ways to respond quickly and not worry about the funding when, that we're talking a few $100s worth of material that was, used to make this, and utilize our warfighters to get this stuff out there, as opposed to expensive SysCom resources. I think if we try to be agile and take more advantage of the tactical out there and their desire to do well, it's just, as long as we're not violating any rules, I think we could be, we'd benefit if we'd be creative like that.
As we round out this question with Ben, I'm going to maybe delve a little bit more specific based off of one of our Q&A questions, which is, Ben, if you don't mind sharing some of the challenges you have perhaps faced with additive manufacturing at sea, and what's really holding back expansion to more ships. Can you speak to that in this realm of our novel tactical capabilities?
Yeah, I think so. I'll try to start to answer the first question and turn into the second question. So just to emphasize what Matt and Kristen and Todd and Liz have already said, one of the most rewarding parts of working in this space is doing a lot of legwork to enable the installation of AM equipment, and then hearing about all the amazing applications that sailors have found afloat to use it to help them during the deployment. We've also established what we're calling the kind of like an Apollo construct. We have the same equipment shipboard back shoreside, and we communicate digitally. So if sailors get to an 88% of solution, but they want some engineering support, they can send digital files back shoreside, get engineering support. The digital package goes back to the ship and it can be produced shipboard. And it's been really interesting to see that evolution over the last 6 months to a year, and the types of components that we've been able to collaboratively produce throughout the naval enterprise by that construct. The shipboard installations was a hypothesis last year, right? I mean, we were very confident, but we thought that if we installed AAM shipboard, there'd be a number of use cases that justified that installation and those costs for installation. And the idea of our R&D program, the strategy was the best way to learn about installations is to just go out and install the capability. We learn a lot doing that. And as soon as we justify it, we can justify the R&D necessary to insert things that are a little bit more than just a green box low criticality item. And then in kind of the second or third year of the program, we'd be able to put really robust capability shipboard. So we learned a lot installing those eight shipboard shops last year. We've come to absolutely justify those installations. We've learned that ships do desire that capability. It is a true warfighting capability. There are examples now of us affecting the capabilities of the ship, benefiting the capabilities of the ship. And so now it's just a matter of getting the ship change documentation in place, doing some of the admin work that's required to get the equipment installed done, and then figuring the resourcing out how that scales across the different ships. I will say that we're still looking at how we expand the capability, right? If you go on ships right now, you'll see everything from a low hobby grade printer to some mid-grade printers, and we're really interested in getting to some advanced polymer and even metal capabilities over the next 2 or 3 years. So we're really continuing to work that piece while ensuring we still scale the capability that we currently have to a broader number of ships.